Early last year, someone on Instagram contacted me wanting my artistic input on a Cure Cancer for Kids 2025 comic book that they put out. And you know what? I would never pass up an opportunity of that nature to have my art being seen by kids who are in need of, some encouragement and have their favorite comic book characters brought to life for them. And so, I began my journey. And this video is on my process of developing it and how I created it. It took a while because I wasn't allowed to actually put it out, but I chose Iron Man and the Iron Kids as well as Doctor Doom. I thought it was appropriate since I heard early on about the movie coming out with Robert Downey Jr. playing Doctor Doom. I thought it was, a perfect chance to draw it out. And plus, I love Iron Man and Doom. But yeah, so this is Inkology. Thank you for joining me today. And if you're new to the channel, please don't forget to like and subscribe, hit that notification button, and let's get into it. So I started out this one where I really wanted to have these different variety of kids in different ethnicities, having their Iron Man suits on, battling and fighting alongside Iron Man himself and Doctor Doom above, and kind of having this superimposed kind of a space theme to it. And I'm using on paper, drawing it on paper before I put it to digital. I will color it in digital and everything, but yeah, I'm just taking my mechanical pencil and going in and creating the characters. I like this. The analog of it is always going to feel better. Now there's a lot more processing to it when you put it to the iPad and having to erase everything and clean it all up, but hey, at least I have a physical copy. Now I'm using a deleter paper, comic book paper, which is around like 10 by 13 inch page size. It's a type A. You can find that on Amazon. Not that expensive, but you definitely don't want to just fly through this paper through sketch paper. I use it for when I really want to know that I'm going to be putting ink to the page or really good detailed pencil. You can see that there's blue ruler lines on there. It's not always the best thing because going over that and getting rid of those blue lines, unless you know how to get rid of them, is a pain in the butt. But you can go through that in post, especially if you're going to, like me. But yeah, definitely a good paper to use. Other than that, I've switched to Bristol paper because Bristol paper doesn't have any lines, and I like the texture of it. It's harder and thicker, and much more affordable actually too. So I'm drawing here all these different characters and shading them in decently, not doing too much depth to it, but just putting in where I want the shadows to be, because I'm just going to go into black ink and fill most of this in and then color it with another layer on the digital, like the app Procreate, which is on my iPad. Look at all these Iron Kids and Iron Man just blasting away. It's pretty epic. I like it.
Okay, so I'm just now finishing up. I'm not going to cross-hatch everything and refine this drawing as much as I would like to, and usually that's the process. I would, after finishing kind of the major sketch, I would go in and do the cross-hatching, golly. Just come in here and start refining it to make the image look as finished as possible before the inking and the whole stage. Because, finishing the penciling in 100% allows you to scan it in and keep the image from being inked. It also allows you to erase and refine later on if you want to, but you want to get it as much as possible with all the cross-hatching and with all the information that you want in here, mainly because if you're sending it off to an inker is going to need all these ideas for the cross-hatching and the shading, bold lines, thin lines. But for myself, since I know what I'm going to do for the most part, I'm not going to go in here and do all the reflections and all the cross-hatching. I'm going to kind of go with the flow on this one. I'm on a time crunch. The submission is due yesterday, but they let me have a few days extra, so it's going to be fun. I love this, how it's coming out. I've been looking on the internet for all these different poses for kids, like doing action poses to build these characters out. All these Iron Man suits, very fun. Girls, boys, different ethnicities, ages, ways of attacking and fighting is fun. This kid's got like a big old fist. So it's really dope. Let's get into inking. I'm going to be using some of my handy dandy favorite inking tools here. I'm just dropping everything today. Molotow is what I'm going to be using for the most part. And then I have a brush pen I'm going to be using as well. One of these guys. Wherever my blue one went to. Here it is. This will probably do a lot of the shading and coloring, so I'm gonna make this pretty black. All of this will be space in the background. But since I'm gonna be doing fine lines, I'm gonna kind of be doing this in a way that's less just filling it in detailed. So I'm just going to ink this out, we'll get into it, and just see how this beauty comes in, and then we'll scan it in, and then have it transferred over to the iPad, start coloring in everything.
In which I'm starting off with filling in all the darks and the blacks of this image with my brush pen. This is something I got off of Amazon. It's a Japanese brush pen with a really good dark black ink to it. It allows you to have really good precision as well as just, flatten it out and fill in a lot of space really quickly. It does leave lines. You can see the brush strokes if you go too fast. But if you take your time and really fill it in, those blacks and those darks really come in heavy and it's really nice. It's a fantastic look. When I was drawing Dr. Doom, I actually took Silver Surfer's his other drawings that other artists have done because they've done a really good job of forming this metallic look to Silver Surfer. And most of Doctor Doom has this more flat metal look to it, kind of a steel. I wanted something very shiny and reflective because I wanted space to be kind of placed in his mask. And I thought, Silver Surfer is probably the best for that because he's just pure shine. I didn't really know the exact um kind of reflections. I kind of made them up as I went, formed it around the faces, kind of contouring with my lines. And it kind of worked out. I think it plays itself well. It's not 100%. I didn't use like an actual ball and, um, get it perfect. I just went with the flow and kind of like I said, using the reference of Silver Surfer is how I got his metallic look. And here I'm actually using a Copic multi-liner 0.03, very fine, to get in here and do some detail work. I don't even know if I keep this in here because it's so fine and thin, but I like to use this whenever I'm getting any kind of facial features in anything. And for this mask, I really didn't want to put in heavy lines and then have to go back and put white ink on top of that. So I started off with really thin and then I moved into thicker lines for his mask. And just a side note, I do love Marvel. I don't really like Marvel these days with how Disney's playing out everything. I really don't like how Robert Downey Jr. is playing Doctor Doom. I feel like there's so many good actors out there that could really be bringing something new to the character and to Marvel. Um, I feel like Disney just plays to these weird tropes of society and don't allow other actors to get in there. One of my favorite characters is Paul Rudd playing Ant-Man, but I feel like Robert Downey Jr. had his moment. Doesn't really need to come back unless he's playing Iron Man in a flashback or something like that. There's so many other really good Doctor Dooms, but I don't work for Disney and I don't have any say in it. So as you can see here, I'm going in and kind of filling in these lines. There's a lot of spacing in here. You can see where the black lines have white spots in between. I go and fix that up later in post. And I even come back a little bit later with my pen and clean them up before the filming of this video. I missed it. So, but yeah. And then from here on out, I'm just going to be outlining all the different forms, cleaning up most of the black lines and making some shadings and, giving some detail to it. A lot of it will probably be lost within the transfer into the digital because I'm not scanning it in. I'm actually taking a photo with a high res photo, which I find works a lot of the time, but with fine lines, you do miss a few things. Nonetheless, it works for what I'm trying to go for, and it'll capture most of my image pretty accurately. And if you've seen anything on my website, all the those are all photos and not scans. Scanning in something costs money when I have a camera. It just works just fine. Now, there are some pencil marks you'll see with like little X's and stuff in my image. Those are to remind me that those should be filled in with the background black or just filled in with a color when I go into post. And then once I'm done with the ink, I will go over it with a eraser and kind of clean up all the pencil marks, which is what I'm doing here. And get as much as I can out of it. But once in post, you'll see what I'll do. I'll make the whites more white and brighter, and then the blacks more dark. And this is actually the process right here of me developing it before I was sketching. I was trying to kind of get an idea of what I wanted to do with this image. The kind of in Procreate, I was sitting here kind of getting an idea of what I wanted. I wanted this light to be shining up from the Iron Men and Iron Kids as they're blasting away at them. And so I built little poses with just a square brush or a round head brush. Don't really recall which one it was, but you can see what I'm doing here. I'm just kind of building the scene, different characters, how I want them laid out, and getting a feel for what I'm going to draw. And then I started sketching it, and I had a better plan after that. This is a really good technique if you don't want to just jump into an image and you have the ability to do it digital first and kind of see what it's going to look like. I threw in some stars and some, yeah, different brushes I downloaded that have all these in there to kind of see what it's going to look like, which is really cool. A lot of add-ons for apps make your life 1,000 times easier. So here's the final drawing. I took a photo, put it in, changing the tint and getting the whites to be balanced out. And then from here, I'm going to balance out the darks and the whites out to be as most contrasted as possible. It makes my life easier whenever I have to go in there and try to clean it up and get rid of all the extra line work, as well as whenever I make another layer, I can erase the white parts much easier and have the transparency to color underneath. I turned it gray so that way I have a medium tone to work from and start coloring and everything. If I just work from white, things will be overly contrasted, maybe unable to be seen. So I find that working from a gray tone is the best when you're going to be working with color or having high bright colors and then deep darks. Now, each one of these little white spots that I'm putting in are going to be different layers, so I can color them and use them as an alpha to throw in really good shading without affecting the other areas that are lit up. And here you can see me work on his mask, just throwing in different types of colors that are going to be in the background, and then using the smudge tool to kind of blend it and make it look somewhat legitimate. And then the space background to get a vibe if the green is the right green, if I want to go brighter or darker. But after this, it's mainly just going into each one of the characters and coloring them in and using them as a layer and then building depth from those each character layer I've drawn. Here, Iron Man being the red, and then putting in the gold for his arms. And, this is fun. He just looks great because I could just clip the colors from other images of actual Iron Man drawings and images. Now, a lot of the colors are semi-muted. They're not really high and vibrant. That's because I didn't want the focus to be punching out on each certain people and characters in the drawing. But you can see here I'm kind of working off the same kind of color tones from other machines as if they were all painted from the same tones of metal. And yeah, adding lights and shine where it should be, skin tones, different skin tones for different kids. And then, yeah, just filling out each one, which was very fun to do. So this is the full process from penciling it in and inking it and then scanning it in or taking a photo and putting it in and then coloring it and getting it all digitized and ready for print. Um, my bad of putting my name at the very bottom where it gets cut off. I don't know what I was thinking.
And it's really cool. I really appreciate them asking me. I don't know how they found me, but definitely check them out. The artists that are in here are phenomenal artists, and some of them are beginners like me, I think. I don't really know. Then there's some that are obviously professionals, but I'm impressed. I mean, look at this. This is amazing Hulk. Who can say that that's not awesome? But yeah, and here's some information on it. You can scan that QR code if you want. But you have different styles of different artists who are, we all got to choose their, your own. And then here's my page right here. And it came out pretty nice. It came out very colorful. It came out exactly what I was hoping it would look like. It's very playful. I think for what I was going for was this, for kids to have a memorable page that they can feel like they're attracted to and inside. And, I love it. I think if I was going to do a poster of this, I'd want to tighten up some stuff and then kind of darken it maybe, give it a little bit more depth. But for a page, this came out really fantastic. The worst part is that my name is missing down here. That's my fault. I should have put my name up higher. But that's life. That is life. They'll never know who drew this. The kids are gonna be like, who's the artist? Oh, it's a, who knows? Actually, I don't even know if did they put my name in the back? Some really good stuff in here. Let's see, Joshua Lamb right here, Iron Man. Joshua Lamb, sweet. Which is pretty rad because I'm surprised no one else chose Iron Man. This seems like kind of an obvious win for kids with cancer, since almost all of the videos you see like of kids in hospitals and stuff are really desiring Iron Man and Spider-Man. But you can just see all these amazing artists. I mean, this is brilliant. Look at this style. And this too. Both of these guys I follow. Phenomenal artist. And yeah, I think this is really rad. I think it's very encouraging. This is probably one of my favorite things I've done all last year. And comic book wise, first time to be put in a comic book. Really, really, really thankful and honored to be such amongst such other great artists in this book. But yeah, so this is it. I hope you enjoyed the video. It wasn't my normal video of stuff, of mythology, but definitely something I'm very proud of, something that it took a while for me to finish editing because I kind of actually, they told me not to create any kind of public advertising for it until the comic came out for the kids, and I just forgot about it afterwards. But yeah, I hope you enjoy this. Hope it looks rad for you. But yeah, if you like it, hey, don't forget to like and subscribe. That'd be really cool. Hit the notification button and definitely, leave comments on what you think, and I will see you soon. And if you're creative, hey, go create.